Here's a fact that should keep you up at night. FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, tested basic financial literacy across 28,000 Americans. Just 5 questions on compound interest, inflation, and the relationship between risk and return. The average score? 2.5 out of 5. These were adults with jobs, bank accounts, rent, and bills to pay every single month. Meanwhile, the average American household carries over $101,000 in debt, according to the Federal Reserve's 2023 Consumer Finance Survey. Credit cards, car loans, student debt, mortgages, all of it sitting there quietly, eating their financial future alive, while the internet has more free financial education on it than any library in history. So here's the real question. With more financial information available today than at any point in human history, why are most people still completely lost with money? The problem is never access to information. It's that nobody teaches you which information actually matters or in what order to apply it. I'm going to give you the 4 rules of money that separate people building wealth from people wondering where their paycheck went. Every single fact in this video is backed by real research, real economists, and real data. Not a course, not a program, not a book I'm selling, just the truth, for free. The National Financial Educators Council surveyed adults on what they wished school had taught them. Number 1 answer, by a massive margin, how to manage money. Not chemistry, not calculus, the thing that affects every single decision of your adult life, and almost no school anywhere teaches it. A 2022 TIAA Institute study confirmed that people with higher financial literacy retire earlier, carry less debt, and make better investment decisions. The difference isn't intelligence or privilege, it is purely education. 2 reasons people never fix this. First, Princeton psychologist Eldar Shafir and Harvard economist Sendhil Mullainathan published research in the journal Science proving that financial stress costs people the equivalent of 13 IQ points when making decisions. The pressure of not having enough money literally impairs the thinking you need to fix the problem. It is a trap that feeds itself. Second, Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck's decades of research show that people with a fixed mindset, those who believe their situation is permanent, avoid the challenges that would change it. They don't pursue financial education because they don't believe it will work for them. But Dweck's data also proves the opposite. A growth mindset, the belief that skills can be developed with effort, is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success in any domain, including finance. Now that you understand the trap, here's how to escape it. Warren Buffett, arguably the most successful long-term investor in human history, will not put a single dollar into any business he cannot explain clearly in 1 sentence. He avoided technology stocks through the entire dot-com boom of the late 90s, and every analyst thought he had lost his edge, until the Nasdaq dropped 78%, wiping out $5 trillion in market value. Buffett's portfolio? Completely fine, because he only put money into businesses he genuinely and thoroughly understood. A 2020 study in the Review of Financial Studies found retail investors underperform the market by 1.5% annually, and the primary reason is simple: investing based on tips and emotion rather than knowledge. The rule covers 4 investment types in this specific order. First, yourself. Nobel economist Gary Becker's human capital theory proved that skills and knowledge generate measurable financial returns, with a bachelor's degree earning 67% more over a lifetime than a high school diploma. But more practically, every skill you build reduces dependence on any single employer. Second, a business you understand completely. Third, real estate, which returns 8 to 12% annually per the National Association of Realtors, but only when you understand the numbers. Fourth, stocks, but only in industries you can genuinely analyze. The most expensive thing you can do with money is put it somewhere you cannot explain why it will grow. Apple, one of the most cash-rich companies in history, issued $5.25 billion in bonds in 2023, while sitting on $170 billion in liquid assets. Not because it needed the money, but because borrowing at low interest rates is smarter than burning cash. That is financial literacy in action. Economists distinguish productive debt from consumptive debt. Productive debt acquires assets generating more than the debt costs, like a rental property earning more in rent than the mortgage, or a business loan generating revenue beyond the interest. Consumptive debt buys things that depreciate immediately: a car loan, a credit card vacation, or student loans with no job market. The Federal Reserve shows Americans carry $1.13 trillion in credit card debt at an average rate of 22.8%. Before borrowing anything, answer 1 question. Will this money generate more value than it costs? And do I have a concrete plan to repay it? If yes, it's a tool. If no, or if you're even slightly unsure, it's a trap. There's advice that sounds smart but quietly kills wealth building. Obsess over cutting small expenses. The latte factor, skip your $5 coffee and get rich, was popularized by author David Bach. And while the math technically works, Harvard researcher Elizabeth Dunn found that extreme self-deprivation actually undermines the long-term behavior change needed to build wealth. People who feel constantly deprived make worse financial decisions over time, not better ones. The real lever isn't spending less, it's earning more. A 2019 Fidelity investment study of millionaires found 80% were first-generation wealthy. They didn't inherit money. They built skills, identified markets that needed those skills, and they created value. A surgeon doesn't become wealthy by skipping Starbucks. A surgeon becomes wealthy by spending years developing a skill so rare and so valuable that the market has no choice but to compensate them at the highest level. The mindset shift is from defensive financial thinking, how do I protect what little I have, to offensive financial thinking, how do I grow what I can produce and earn? Both discipline and ambition matter, but the research is unambiguous about which one actually moves the needle on long-term wealth. An asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes it out. That distinction, foundational to basic accounting, is the clearest lens for every financial decision you will ever make. And it applies to everything. Not just stocks and property, but the car you drive, the phone you buy, and the hours you spend every single week. The most powerful asset available to the average person isn't real estate or stocks. It's a high-income skill. It's the only asset no market crash, recession, bankruptcy, or layoff can ever take from you. Georgetown University found that skills combining technical expertise with clear communication command exponentially higher compensation than either ability alone. The World Economic Forum identified the top value-driving skills through 2030: analytical thinking, creative thinking, adaptability, and technology literacy. These aren't rare gifts, they're trainable competencies that anyone with internet access and consistent effort can develop. The average digital marketer earns $67,000 annually, but the top 10% earn over $128,000. The gap between them isn't years of experience, it's skill depth and the proven ability to deliver measurable results to the market. Develop the skill, use the income to acquire assets, let returns compound, reinvest into deeper skills and more assets. This is the documented, repeatable process behind most first-generation wealth on the planet, and none of it requires a university degree. Platforms like Coursera and edX and MIT OpenCourseWare publish top university curriculum at zero cost. The barrier is not money. The barrier is deciding your financial future is worth the time. 4 rules. Rule 1. Only invest in what you can clearly explain in one sentence, starting with yourself. Rule 2. Use debt strategically when the math works and you have a concrete, realistic repayment plan. Rule 3. Shift your focus from spending less to earning more because income growth is what actually changes the trajectory. Rule 4. Build high-income skills first. Use them to acquire assets and let compounding do the heavy lifting over time. FINRA's own research found that improving financial literacy by just 1 point out of 5 leads to a 30% increase in lifetime wealth accumulation. 30% from one single point of improvement. You do not need to become a professional economist or a portfolio manager. You just need to be 1 point better than you are today. That is a single book. That is this channel. That is a few dedicated hours of attention to how money actually works in the real world. The rules are not complicated. They are not hidden behind expensive courses or exclusive clubs. What separates the people steadily building wealth from the people permanently wondering where their money went is simply whether they chose to learn the rules of the game they are already playing every single day of their lives. You chose to watch this. That is the first move. Subscribe now. Every video goes deeper.